That is the hardest part of that ring.
For the hardest part of the ring. Hello, everybody, and welcome to the hardest part of the ring.
Hello and welcome to episode number 40 of Hardest Part of the Ring, the podcast where four friends get together to discuss the wonder of professional wrestling. My name is Adam, and as per usual, Sam is here.
Hello.
John is here.
Hello.
And Brett is here.
Hi.
Hello. This is it. This is a Hardest Part of the Ring rewind episode. So for those that haven't listened to one of these before, this is where we delve into the WWE Network archives and review a pay-per-view from the past. This is actually our third rewind episode. Our first one, episode 30, we watched WWF No Way Out 2000, which was pretty good. And then
I think that set the bar for our rewinds, didn't it? Like that's the
a good
best one
one.
we've done so far.
well, who knows?
Oh yeah,
The
fair
listeners have to find out.
Way to go, bury the lead there, Sam.
point. Spoilers. It's WCW.
Yeah, and then the next one we did was episode 34, where we talked about ECW One Night Stand 2006. And for this episode, we have gone much further back to the early 90s, 1992, to talk about WCW WrestleWar, which was chosen by John.
Yay.
Yeah, fuck you, John.
Oh, come on. It wasn't that bad. It was good. I enjoyed it. This is proper Southern WCW at its lukewarm best.
Yeah, well, I think we're going to find out how the rest of us felt about it, but yeah, I struggled, but it did get good. And we have got some positives to talk about, and we're going to do that after this.
Oh, the positives WCW went under.
Too soon, Sam. Still hurts.
Welcome to WrestleWar 92. You're looking live, Memorial Coliseum in Jacksonville, Florida. A capacity crowd on hand, ready for the ultimate battleground in WCW World Championship Wrestling.
Right, WCW WrestleWar 1992. Any idea what was number one in the charts?
Oh, I just looked this up. It was KWS. Please don't go.
And how does
Please
that go?
don't go. Don't go. I'm begging you
Don't
to
go
stay.
away. Oh,
Is that it?
What?
yeah.
What? I've never heard this. song
Sam, you're
before.
way too young, aren't you? How old were you in 1992?
I was 1,473 days old
What?
when this pay-per-view happened.
Okay, and now what's that in human years?
That is just over 4 years old.
Oh, there you go.
Oh,
I was
yeah.
2 weeks into being 4.
You would not have known that song then, but it's a good one. I'd seek it out. I think
I know songs from when I was 4, like Mr. Blobby, Saturday Night.
Well, I mean, I noticed when I looked this up that 2 weeks before this, Deeply Dippy by Right Said Fred was number one.
Oh.
That was the first album I ever owned. Was Right Said Fred Up.
That's so on brand.
I think that'd be more credible than the first album I owned.
What was
go.
it?
London Nights by the London Boys.
I don't even
Oh,
know
God.
what that is.
What
No.
is that?
Yeah, look it up. I mean, it
Sounds
sort
like a
of
racist
matches.
punk band.
It matches with sort of 90s WWE fashion.
Okay.
What, breast implants and muscles?
First single I owned, I have something in common with Kevin Owens. It was a Shania Twain song.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it was
God.
Man, I Feel Like a Woman. So, yeah, one for my parents to be worried about for a long time. With that.
That is perfect for you.
Yeah.
Oh, God. John's first
Catchy,
album?
though.
I've already said it. It's Right Said Fred Up.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, first
You
time
literally
I-
just said that.
What was yours, Adam?
Mine was Spiders by Space.
Oh, that's decent.
That is decent.
Yeah, that's decent. Oh, look at you. Coming in with a decent album.
Hipstering up at the
Yeah.
end.
Yeah, I'm not even making it up either.
None of this embarrassing shit.
Okay, so back to WrestleWar 1992. Top of the UK box office charts. An absolute stone cold classic. Basic Instinct.
Oh, God.
Is that the Susan Sarandon film?
No.
Sharon Stone.
Sharon Stone.
Oh.
Yeah, the leg cross scene.
I
Yeah.
don't think I've ever
Oh,
seen
that
it.
film.
Yeah. So this was May 1992, by the way. Okay, so more specifically, when we talk about WCW WrestleWar, we can tell you that it was filmed and produced at the Jacksonville Memorial Coliseum, which is a great name for a venue.
Jacksonville.
So in Jacksonville, Florida, the attendance was 6,000 rabid
Seemed
fans.
like more.
It did. Great
Really,
crowd.
I thought it seemed quite empty, and especially higher
really?
up.
Yeah.
Seemed a little bit empty, which is actually quite a reoccurring theme in most WCW pay-per-views.
I thought they were really into it, weren't they? They made a lot of noise.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
especially towards the end.
they seem like a big lull. Like they made a lot of noise early on, and then towards the end, and in the
Yes.
middle, they just sort of could have been anywhere.
Yeah. I think, that was a theme for us as well, wasn't it? Switching off in the middle. So this WrestleWar was introduced. This was quite interesting. It was introduced by Tony Schiavone and Eric Bischoff, wearing proper dinner suits with bow ties and everything.
Yes.
Yeah, and Kanban. Yeah, is it Kanbans? No, that's
Cummerbund.
Ah, thank you. Kanbans is the scrum master.
Benedict Cummerbund.
Yeah. And then we had the separate announced team of Jim Ross and Jesse the Body Ventura.
I didn't actually realise JR was on WCW. I just never knew that.
Yeah, I didn't either.
I only knew that recently. I think I was listening to a podcast that talked about how basically WWE poached him because he was so good. And it was nice to see him just looking well.
Do you know, there was one point in this pay-per-view where I'm pretty sure JR said, "I've been doing this for 40 years." And I just thought to myself, like, wait, what? Fuck off, really?
No, surely not. How old is Jim Ross?
I don't know. Like,
Let's have a guess. Here he is, 66. So, yeah.
I mean, that's just an unmitigated lie, isn't it, JR?
So basically,
Yes.
he would have to have been
Maybe
doing
it's
it since he was
kayfabe,
born.
though. You know.
Who
The
knows?
thing is, he looked of an age where he could have been doing it for 40 years.
I don't know. He looked good. He looked young, youthful.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I thought he looked
didn't
pretty
look
good.
quite that old.
Yeah. So, John, you chose WrestleWar. Why? Why did you choose
Why?
it? Please explain yourself.
Because we talk about WCW in quite a derogatory way. We joke
No, I
around
know why.
in a lot. And I really like WCW just because I actually quite like the car crash of it. But I hadn't seen this pay-per-view before we watched it, but it's meant to be one of the better ones,
Oh,
which is
dear.
why I chose it. Because especially the last match is widely regarded as one of the best, certainly one of the best war games, if not one of the best matches.
See, that's exactly what I've heard, is that War Games is apparently the best War Games to have ever happened. And it makes me realise I don't need any more War Games.
They're very
life.
confusing.
Yeah, there were
Yeah.
like 9... there's like 3 pages of rules.
Yeah. There were
The rules
stages
bit.
as well, wasn't there? Different stages.
Yeah, it's very awkward. I've got a little clip actually of the guy reading out the rules, which we'll play now.
At the end of the first period, the referee will flip a coin. The team that wins the coin toss gains the advantage by sending a second team member into the war zone for a 2-on-1 situation and maintains that advantage throughout war games.
Even he didn't seem to understand what he was talking about. So yeah, leading into WrestleWar, I think the big storylines or the biggest sort of feud was, of course, the one leading up to the War Games match. I think it was the main conclusion of the feud between the Dangerous Alliance and Sting's Squadron. The storyline began in 1991, the year before, when Rick Rude, Steve Austin, Arn Anderson, beautiful Bobby Eaton and Larry Zbyszko teamed up as the Dangerous Alliance. And then Sting got together a group of faces. He had Barry Windham, Dustin Rhodes, Ricky Steamboat and Nikita Koloff. And they all had sort of individual feuds with people from the Dangerous Alliance. And that all led to this. The war in the ring. In the 2 rings, sorry. The card consisted of what felt like 1,000 matches.
Yeah.
How many were there?
And so many of them, like I was looking online, and so many of them actually only totaled to 5 minutes. And I was like, no, that was way longer than 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So this is actually one of the things is I have now watched WrestleWar twice because I kind of fell asleep the first time. So I feel like I've watched 10 minutes of Ron Simmons versus Mr. Hughes, not 5.
Well, there were 9 matches on the card, but there was a dark match. Diamond Dallas Page and Thomas Rich versus Bob Cook and Firebreaker Chip.
Firebreaker Chip.
Bob Cook doesn't even have a Wikipedia page. Who is he?
Absolutely no idea. That's how I felt like that with quite a few of these wrestlers, but that could just be my lack of knowledge.
I've just gone on to Tom Richard. Is it Tommy Rich? Thomas Rich. I've just gone onto his Wikipedia page. He looks like an old Chuck Mambo.
Okay, interesting. The first match proper on the card was a US tag team title match between the Freebirds and Tailor-Made Man and Greg the Hammer Valentine. Second match was Johnny B. Bad versus Young Pistol Tracy. Then we had Scotty Flamingo versus Marcus Alexander Bagwell. The Junkyard Dog and Ron Simmons versus Mr. Hughes and Cactus Jack, although that did turn into a singles match, which we'll talk about later. The next match was the Super Invader versus Todd Champion. Todd Champion.
I've never heard of Todd Champion until this paper.
That sounds like a wrestler name you'd make up at primary school or something.
It's not even the worst name, though, is it? In this.
What about the next match? Big Josh?
Yeah, Big Josh. That is terrible.
Big Josh versus Richard Morton.
Yeah, Big Josh wasn't even that big. I think he was only like 6'1".
Yeah.
But he was like the lovable outdoorsman.
Yeah.
The next match was a light heavyweight title match between Brian Pillman and Tom Zenk. Then we had a tag team match between the Steiner brothers and Tatsumi Fujinami and Takayuki Izuka.
Oh, very nice.
Not bad, hey?
Yeah, nicely done.
Amazing for me.
Practiced.
That was to decide who would be the next team to challenge for the New Japan IWGP Tag Team Championship, which is pretty cool. And then finally, the main event was the More Games. I do not want more games. It was the War Games match between Sting Squadron and the Dangerous Alliance, as we said. So in our Rewind episodes, we tend to split things up into categories. We're going to talk about the best match, the worst match, a standout moment, so anything that had us on the edge of our seat, a what the fuck moment, so something that we thought was awful, so that could be a lengthy segment. We're going to pick our MVP, our standout performer, then we're going to talk about what we learnt, and then we're going to take something from our normal pay-per-view reviews and give this a score out of 10. So, best match. Are we all just going to be talking about the War Games match here, or has anybody else got?
Not me.
No way.
I did not enjoy that War Games match, but we'll talk about that.
Okay, Brett, what was your best match?
Mine was the one before, Steiner Brothers versus Fujinami and Izuka.
Same.
Purely because
this
it was
probably the best match on the card.
Bit of a shoot fight, really, wasn't it?
Yeah, those Steiner brothers don't like foreigners, do they?
They
Good
do
Lord.
not give a fuck. They beat up poor old Izuka.
Oh my god.
Like, they nearly killed him by landing on his head.
He's still wrestling today, Izuka, isn't he? Since
Yeah,
Suzuki Gun.
I could
Yeah.
not believe it. What is it with like these old New Japan guys being like total heartthrobs back in the day? I'd have never thought that was Izuka if I wasn't.
No,
if his
like-
name wasn't there.
When they said that, I literally had to be like, wait, what?
Yeah.
Like, I was like, is it kind of like, I don't know, like Tiger Mask, like it's the name being passed down
Yeah.
or something? But no, same guy.
Like, where's the hell is his tinfoil hand punchy thing? It's not even a fist, is it? I don't know what it is.
I don't know what happened to Izuka, but I think the Steiner brothers were involved.
Yeah, I think it was this match.
Oh, actually,
this
that-
is what turned him.
Yeah, that probably makes sense, actually. That land where Rick lands on his head.
Yeah, that was rough.
Yeah.
And that's what happens. That's why he storms around on a leash in New Japan
Wearing a bib.
with a bib.
Scott Steiner is a beast. I mean,
Oh
they
my
both are.
God,
but-
yeah.
Rick Steiner is also a beast.
Yeah.
Though, like, oh.
Yeah, they were built, weren't they?
It's a lot of fun to watch them, actually. This was a really good match. In fact, I think this was on a level for me with the War Games. I did really enjoy the War Games, but I'll get to that in a second. But yeah, I mean, talking about the Steiner brothers not liking the Japanese, did you enjoy the bit where JR talked about, you may love them,
Yeah.
you may hate them, the Japanese, but you've got... I think yeah, that
JR
was
building
interesting.
bridges.
Such a weird thing to say, wasn't it? It was just like, what are you talking about? You
Oh,
say
yeah.
it's okay to be racist against the Japanese.
But
Still
this,
bitter about Pearl Harbor, aren't they?
Yeah.
Well, I got to tell you one thing. You may love it, Japanese, you may hate them, whatever your choice is. That's your prerogative, fans, but you got to respect them.
Am I right in thinking that this was around about a time when kind of Japan's economy was really booming and America's maybe wasn't so good? So, like, kind of all of the electronics were coming from Japan.
No, I don't know.
Maybe.
Deep
Don't ask us
economic
questions like
chat
that.
in
Yeah.
the podcast. That's what WCW does to you.
Yeah.
I have to say, with this match, there was that Rick Steiner did that amazing belly-to-belly suplex while on top of Fujinami.
Yeah.
That
When he
was
caught him out of
insane.
the air,
Yeah.
that was really good.
I've never seen a move like that before. In fact, there was quite a few moves in this match I've never seen before.
Yeah.
I actually reckon, like, if you were to bring the Steiner brothers forward in time and maybe remove all the juice, they would still be a solid tag team today. Like,
Yeah, they were super over as well. Good
really
Lord.
good team. It's always nice to see a couple of brothers in a tag team, you know?
They
Doing
were
the job.
great.
Unless it's the Hardys, in which case that's maybe a little depressing at this point.
Yeah, it was really cool to see them. Obviously, they're a classic tag team. One that I remember from the early days when I was a kid, but didn't watch any of their matches. So it was really nice to watch one.
I always find it really strange with those two because, like, I never place Scott Steiner as Big Papa Pump. Like, you know, he looks so different
Yeah.
once he kind of took on that look.
And I was the same. And even though, like, in the back of my brain, I knew it was Scott Steiner that was the Steiner that was Big Papa Pump. But at the same time, when I was looking at them in this, I was like, was it Rick? I don't think it was Rick, but surely it can't have been Scott. But yeah.
It's just weird.
Yeah. So this was the best match for all three of you saying?
I loved the War Games match as well, but I really, really loved this match.
This one and Brian Pillman versus the Z-Man, I thought was a really good match as well, actually.
Yeah, that match built really well. When it started, I've actually made a note saying I don't think they had great chemistry. But by the end of it, it was like people were off their seats. The crowd were going insane.
Yeah.
It really built really well. There was one woman at a near fall in the front row who lost her fucking shit.
She
When
did,
Z-Man
didn't she?
was about to win,
Yeah.
and she had to
And
be pulled back.
Everybody sat next to her was just laughing at her, weren't they? Like how over enthusiastic she was.
The match built really well, that one.
It did. It did. And they were a cut above as wrestlers, weren't they, than what we'd seen earlier on.
It was great to watch like a young Brian Pillman in action. I haven't seen too many of his matches, but it was great.
It was. I thought this match was certainly decent. It was great in comparison to what we'd seen up till now.
Yeah, I wasn't sure if that was it. It was just we'd had those mid-card matches that were so poor, so this looked good, or if it was genuinely good. I think it was a genuinely good match.
What I really liked about this match is that it told a self-encompassed story that worked. Like, kind of, here are two people who were in a tag team. They had the match, and the actual kind of, they kept alluding to it and, like, not just saying, oh, they're in a tag team. You know, all their wrestling moves, their spots and stuff. They were going for the same move, and it kind of, it was really well choreographed for something that happened in the early 90s.
Yeah, countering each other's holds. Obviously, the bit with the figure four and then the counter of that was classic. We talked about that.
Reverse the pressure.
There was one bit where they're in a hold in the centre of the ring. I think Pillman had Z-Man in a hold, but it obviously felt like they didn't know how to get out of it. So, Brian Pillman actually just dragged Z-Man to the rope so he could sort of get the rope break. Weird.
Yeah. That was where the ref actually had to untangle them, wasn't it?
Talking of the ropes and the ring in general, tiny ring, hey?
It did seem very small, didn't it?
I didn't notice that.
No, I didn't either. I just think it's weird seeing two rings next to each other.
Yes.
Yeah.
That never
strange.
gets comfortable viewing.
Yeah.
I did look into it just in case it was like an optical illusion, and it turned out that WCW did enlarge their rings later on, and that they did have smaller ones initially.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah. But I'd agree. I mean, it's just, I think the main takeaway from this podcast is probably going to be, for any listeners who haven't seen this, is just to tune in for the last three matches.
Oh,
Is that
definitely.
fair?
Yeah,
Definitely.
yes, solid.
There is
Unless you
nothing
get-
to see before.
I quite like the sort of mid-card matches just because you get to see so many people you've never heard of before.
Well, that's okay if they turn out to be amazing. But I thought the US Tag Team title match at the start was quite a nice opener. It was all right, wasn't it? It wasn't terrible.
Oh, I don't know.
We had the revelation that the DDT was obviously the most exciting move of all time.
But one thing, obviously, that the champions have to be aware of, that very devastating maneuver known as the DDT. What an equalizer.
What I was impressed with that is how charismatic Michael P.S. Hayes was.
Yes.
I thought he was amazing. Like the way he was strutting around the ring, and haven't seen much of the Fabulous Freebirds, but I thought Michael P.S. Hayes was great. And that promo he did later was batshit crazy.
The promo was good. I've got a little clip of that as well.
I can't say why we do what we do, but we are the Freebirds, and that's our excuse.
Am I stupid? I thought the Fabulous Freebirds, there were 3 of them. Is that wrong?
Yeah, no. Traditionally there were.
Yeah.
I think that's
Oh, right, okay.
3 of them.
Right.
Is that why they call it the Freebird rule?
Well, yeah, that's what I thought.
I think Terry Gordy, wasn't he?
Okay, because I was getting confused. I was like, wait, these are the Freebirds, but there's 2 of them. There's no Xavier Woods. What's going on? And I didn't get it. But
where's the trombone?
yeah.
I want to talk about the War Games match because at the time I think that was my favourite because it was just so mental, and that I've never seen so much blood.
Oh my god, so much blood! Like
It's rare when you can literally describe something as a bloody mess.
Yeah, let's go off camera for a second, then come back on and just be showered in blood.
The amount of blading that must have been going on.
We should set the scene because obviously they had all the matches, as we've said. They were alternating which ring they were in, so the crowd could get a better view. There must be times where you just sitting there and there's a whole ring in between the match that's going on. You're thinking, "Oh fuck this! Why did I buy tickets for this?" But when the steel cage was coming down and they had the fireworks going off, that was a health and safety nightmare, wasn't it?
I can't imagine anyone walked away from this pay-per-view without serious health issues afterwards.
Yeah, like the front row definitely would have got burns from those sprinklers or sparklers.
Just the smoke as well.
Yeah, and it had a roof on, didn't it? The venue, so that they had proper rockets flying off into the roof.
And knowing WCW, I don't think they would have sprung for the extra money for indoor fireworks. These were probably just standard outdoor fireworks. They were just launching into the roof of the arena.
Definitely.
I never even knew there was such a thing as indoor fireworks till 2 seconds ago.
I'm assuming there is such a thing.
Yeah.
Well,
I mean, you can get those really tiny mini ones. My parents used to get sometimes.
Yeah.
Huh. Okay.
My memory of indoor fireworks is you light something and it turns into an ashy worm.
Yeah.
Yeah. An ashy worm. That sounds like that would be your gimmick. Brett the Ashy Worm Jones. I like it. The ring came down and then we had all those crazy flashing lights on the stage. I was staring at it. I nearly went into a trance just before the Dangerous Alliance came out. Those lights were crazy. But then the teams came out, and I purposefully didn't look into who the teams were. Obviously, I knew Sting was involved from the images, but some amazing talent.
Yeah, especially on the Dangerous Alliance. That lineup is off the chart good.
Yeah, it was cool to see Steve Austin there. What amazing hair!
I did not recognise him.
Amazing hair, great trunks as well.
Yeah, lovely hair. Obviously, ravishing Rick Rude. Absolute legend, but again, I haven't watched a huge amount of him, so it's nice to see him. And then Paul E. Dangerously,
Yep,
aka Paul Heyman. Amazing to see him as well. I didn't realise that's how he started out with that name.
I was really excited to see Owen Anderson. He's a wrestler I'm a little bit obsessed with recently. Just the ultimate muscly dad bod.
Yeah,
and his spine buster is such a thing of beauty.
It's true. Did he do it in this match?
He did, yeah. When he came in, did it. Got his head stuck in between the 2 rings at one point.
Yeah,
he did. It was just covered in blood.
That was a great spot. That was, something new that we definitely didn't see in the NXT War Games because there's absolutely no way they could do that nowadays.
WCW definitely had a midget under the ring blading people. Stick your head in here. We'll sort you out.
It seemed to be against that fence, like rubbing their face against the fence.
Yeah, that was brutal.
Seemed to do it a couple of times. I was like, what the hell? How?
Well, I felt sorry for poor old Steve Austin because he bladed quite quickly, quite early on in the match.
Really
he had
early
another
on.
30 minutes of just bleeding out all over the place.
It was pouring from his head, wasn't it? By the end of this, the ring looked... I mean, it was blue at the start, and then it looked like this weird red abstract art.
Yeah,
it was carnage.
Like a murder scene.
It was carnage.
Yeah.
You could literally see the hepatitis.
Yeah.
Sam, how did you react when you saw old Dustin Rhodes come out? Your favourite
Oh, that was a real happy moment. I can't believe how much he actually looked like kind of, well, obviously Dusty Rhodes and Cody. Like, kind of, they all have the same brow.
It's like they're related.
Yeah, it's like they're related or something. I don't understand it, but it was a pleasure to watch him wrestling in the main event as he should have been for the last 30 years.
I know. I love that. Literally, 26 years later, he's still kind of going.
He's definitely going.
He is.
Yeah. He's been a real servant to the game.
He has. Big respect to him. But yeah, generally the match, obviously War Games match is very, very hard to keep up with what's going on. And then in this era as well, they didn't really have many. Did they have any replays? I can't think. Or were they just having replays at the end of the match?
Here and there.
Yeah,
but not many.
not during, I don't think, were there?
No. And they weren't really calling many of the spots and many of the moves.
Well, I mean,
either.
I was going to say, like, one of the reasons I didn't really like this War Games match was, like, yes, there was carnage and that sort of was, I guess, entertaining in its own way. But everything was going on at the same time and it didn't feel like there were actually any spots. Like, they were just in there doing their thing, all of them separately, just going, all right, I'm going to go over and grab this guy now. And so therefore, like, there was no real thing for you to spot at any point, like for you to see or for the cameras to train in on. Every time it was just someone just hitting someone else and blood just, it was like an absolute mess of a match, I thought.
What I didn't quite understand is towards the end where they started taking the rope off.
I know.
Yeah, I didn't get that. And they did it for so long.
That was purely for, I think, the finishing thing, which was like the only spot that I could see, which was where he was meant to hit Sting or whoever with the corner metal bit, wasn't he?
Yep.
And
yeah,
he
it was
hit his
Sabisco,
own guy.
wasn't he?
Yeah, and
it was Sabisco. He ended up hitting Bobby Eaton instead of Sting.
And then he tapped out to Sting.
And then Sting grabbed Eaton by the arm that had been hit, and made him tap out. Yeah.
It's an armbar. It's a weird way to end a War Games match, isn't it? Tapping out to an armbar.
Especially when the guy that came in, like, second to last.
Yeah.
I was like, you can't be the one. Stone Cold's been in there bleeding through the whole thing for
You've probably
ages.
seen dots.
You've come in for like 5 minutes and you're going to tap out.
So when Sting put him in that armbar, I did think, and correct me if you think I'm wrong on this, Zack Sabre Jr. looks like Sting. How's that?
Similar hairstyle.
Similar hair, put him in a submission.
No, just don't really see it.
No. Cool. I'm sorry. I was half awake at this point in time.
But yeah, I think, Brett, you're totally right. Like, it was all carnage, but I think that's why I enjoyed it. I wouldn't enjoy this regularly. I think it would probably be quite annoying, but it was like a spectacle to see, to go back to 1992 and see something like that happening and all that blood and all that's the moves that you don't see happening. So yeah, I thought it was good fun.
It was definitely
nice to see a mobile phone as a weapon.
That was so weird, wasn't it? She climbed all the way onto the top of the cage to drop in a mobile phone.
I know.
Yeah, this is Medusa. And we had the face-off between Medusa and Sting on the top of the cage, which was one of the images used for like promo-wise, isn't it? And something that Sam sent around. When I saw that, I thought, oh yeah, there's going to be a fight, a mixed-gender fight on the top of the ring. But they were literally both up there for 2 seconds.
That cage would not have supported any moves.
No, it looked ropey as hell.
That's true.
Yeah.
Okay, so yeah, War Games was an exciting match, if not the best quality necessarily, or the best choreographed. Should we move on to worst match?
Yeah.
I mean, are we just going to say the whole mid-card?
Yeah.
Yes,
Take your pick.
Sam?
Was it Raven versus Buff Bagwell?
Raven?
Yeah.
Sorry, Scotty Flamingo versus Marcus Alexander.
Holy shit, was that Raven?
Yes.
Yeah, man.
I didn't even clock it either when the match was on, but I was just looking up some of the guys later and I was like, no way, that was Raven.
Fuck, I had no idea that was Raven.
The clue was it was a terrible match.
It was terrible. There was so much terrible.
Yeah.
This was bad.
Yeah.
This was the only match I actually wrote down bad next to it.
I think maybe the Super Invader as well.
Oh,
yes.
Do you know, Super Invader was actually Hercules in WWF, who was Paul Romer's tag team partner in Power and Glory, who we mentioned just the other week.
Wow.
So no way.
So the Super Invader match, that was the one versus Todd Champion. Super Invader build from Bangkok.
An assassin from Bangkok.
Yeah, I mean, I quite enjoyed his what is it?
His
It's not even
glove.
a mask. It's just a, what was that over his head?
I don't
How would
know.
you
I
describe
like it.
that?
It's like a bank robbery mask.
Yeah, it was
Yeah,
definitely
but
his mum's
no
tights.
eye holes or mouth holes or anything.
Yeah, it was a little bit like kind of if you go to create a wrestler on one of the WWE games and just decide, fuck it, I'm not going to actually.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think they're like, we cannot put any holes in this because then
Just
it will be
red.
immediately evident that he's not from Bangkok.
I don't know. Did they ever bother with stuff like that? He had that weird glove as well, didn't he?
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh yeah. What's up with that?
With
blue
his
glove?
padding and his like rainbow glove.
I actually thought the powerbomb at the end of that match was pretty cool.
Yeah.
That's about it though.
I think it's ropey calling that a powerbomb, if
Yeah.
I'm honest.
I thought it looked good.
Or about Johnny B. Bad as well.
Little Richard.
I mean,
Yeah.
I'm like, I was
Johnny B. Bad versus Young Pistol Tracy.
I was trying to work out whether he had done blackface or not.
No.
No, I don't think he did, but it
He had
sort
a
of.
lot of makeup on.
He had a lot of makeup on, and because it made him look like Little Richard, I was like, this is weird.
He did look a lot like him though, didn't he? He looked-
Yeah.
I thought it was Little Richard coming out at one point.
Do you guys know who is now married to Johnny B. Bad's ex-wife?
Oh,
No.
Brock Lesnar.
no, because his wife was Sable, wasn't it?
Yeah, it's Brock Lesnar.
Mm.
Brock Lesnar is married to Sable, who was married to Mark Merrow, who is Johnny B. Bad.
It's
Trivia.
weird though, because when he was
It's
in
fun.
WWE, he did look so much different.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I did not recognise him at all. But yeah.
So, Brett, what was your specific worst match?
My specific worst match. Oh, I don't think I can.
Do we think it's just
I did not enjoy.
the 4 mid card matches?
Yeah, I had right for my notes with those early matches. What was it from? Even to be honest, I didn't enjoy the first match either. So all the way up to Big Joss and Richard Morton, my notes are sad smiley. Except for no, actually that's a lie. I did have a note for Richard Morton Big Josh match. What a mullet!
It was quite a mullet.
It was amazing.
Do you know, in this match, Ricky Morton? I think he
Morton.
was only 36.
Wow.
He looked like he was 62 at least. It's awful. Also, the finish looked really weird. It looked like both, like especially Big Josh was like, "Is that the finish?"
Yeah.
When the referee counted 3, he looked very confused by it.
There was
Yeah.
a lot of fast 3 counts throughout this.
Very
as well.
fast.
Like
Yeah.
the refs were like 1, 2, 3.
Yeah, come on, let's go.
Please, let's get this over with. Yeah. I think if I had to pick one, it probably would be the Big Josh versus Ricky Morton. And it might not necessarily be the worst of those mid-card ones, but it's just because we just watched 3 really dull ones. It was like,
Yeah.
please, no, not another one. And I zoned out. It was just nothing. There was nothing to come from it. Apart from when I said on WhatsApp, who the hell are these two? And Sam pointed out that, who's Big Josh?
Oh, who's the original Dunk the Clown?
There you go. Even more great trivia from Sam Andrews tonight.
Even more great trivia from Wikipedia.
Oh, okay, fine. Was there anything that was particularly good in terms of like an iconic moment for you guys?
I really enjoyed seeing a full set of credits. Seriously, as someone who works in TV, it's always a pleasure to see actual credits rather than just a little bug at the end.
Okay.
There
Yeah.
you go.
Can we also give a shout out to Harley Race's amazingly tight perm?
That was tight.
Good, you could just
Yeah.
like stretch some canvas over that and have the best night's sleep you've ever had in your life.
Yeah. And I mean, sticking with the hair theme again, Ricky Morton, what a mullet was my standout moment.
Yeah. Well, what about the sideburns from, was it Pillman? Pillman's sideburns. Wow. Like they're totally squared off.
Oh no, that's Steiner. Scott Steiner's got like negative sideburns where it's like shaved up to above his ear.
Oh, no, I think it was Pillman as well. Oh, right. When they were doing the interview with the little video of the night before. Oh, wow.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah, but my actual one that I noted down for my standout moment actually had nothing to do with the the pay-per-view at all, the actual event or any of the matches or people in it. It was the WCW Beach Blast advert.
Oh,
Yes.
that felt like an advert you'd see on The Simpsons for like Mount Splashball or something like that.
Yeah, it was so good.
It
I
was
loved
good.
all the graphics.
And can we
They look like Brett Dunham.
also
Yeah, it did.
give a shout out to WCW with actually great names for their shows? I love WrestleWar, Bash at the
Beach
Beach
Blast.
or Beach
Apparently,
Blast, whatever.
Beach Blast was supposed to be pretty good, but we're not going to review that for a long, long time. Okay?
It might be Brett's choice next. You never know.
No.
I am 100% quitting the pod and doing that early 90s WCW.
Just when you thought it was safe to go back to the beach. WCW Beach Blast. This summer, beat the heat with a barrage of buff buds and bodacious babes, because WCW is cruising through the party down on the Gulf Coast. We're talking the sizzling slam fest, one huge scene, a mega rager. It's totally beaching. WCW Beach Blast. Beat the heat live. Saturday, June 20th. Be there only on pay-per-view. Call your local cable operator for availability.
Moving on to what the fuck moment, a moment that made you say what the fuck, or not in a good way. My main one, and I'm going to play a clip of this, okay? I'm going to edit this in, and I'm giving out a warning to all listeners. If there's anybody who is dropping off to sleep or driving and has just maybe zoned out the podcast, pay attention, because I'm about to play Cactus Jack's screech noise.
Gosh, I don't know if we've got a staff psychologist here, but if we do, let's get him an appointment.
How weird was that?
Whee!
Yeah.
Oh, God, ow.
Really weird.
Wow, Sam, that was almost perfect.
Thank you.
Yeah, that freaked me out. That like I said, I was sort of zoning out watching this, and when he made that noise, I was like, "What the fuck? What the hell is this?" Sam, any moments particularly bad, and you were like, "What on earth is this?"
Yeah, it's a tough one. It's a real tough one, to be honest. Can I just say the whole first half? Like, is that...
Absolutely
No.
can.
Yeah.
John, Brett, anything more specific?
I think the Steiner versus Fujinami and Iizuka, just some of the stuff in that match was just crazy.
I was
Such a brutal match, such crazy spots.
Yeah, I was going to say the same. Like, probably, like, that match was a great match, but also, like, the botches in it. Like, Scott Steiner with that moonsault slam thing he did.
He did it, missed it first time, then just did it again.
Like, how did he not break his neck that first time? And then and the thing was, like, you know, he hated on Iizuka after that, being really stiff and just beating him up because Steiner looked to fool himself by botching it the first time, and Iizuka gave him a chance to redeem himself.
Yeah.
And he still, like, hated him for it throughout the rest of the match.
There was a lot of landing on faces.
Yeah.
There was moves not going well, and then having, like, your back crush another man's face.
It was so, like, it was so rough and not executed whatever they saw in their heads when they did some of that stuff at all. But it was also a great match because of that stuff.
Yeah.
Cool. Next category is the MVP, the standout performer from the whole evening for you. Tough one, this. I can't really think. I mean, I've got an answer, but there weren't loads of contenders for me. John, did you have one?
I've got two, actually. Iizuka has got to be. Like, that guy took an absolute beating.
Yeah, totally.
I also really, really enjoyed Jesse on colour commentary.
I did.
I thought he was really seedy. I didn't like it.
I tell you, both of these guys, I mean, imagine the women out there looking at these two athletes. Bagwell, I mean, he's your classic pretty boy, not a hair out of place. I kind of like Scotty Flamingo better. I think he's a little more exotic looking.
But I like his colour commentary.
Oh, I didn't at all. I don't know. He just kind of seemed like a weird, creepy dude who kept like going to JR like, "I'm talking about women," and JR just being like, "Oh, please leave me alone." Like,
I liked
definitely
him.
a bit of that.
I liked his voice.
I liked a genuine heel kind of commentator. I think that was quite cool.
Yeah, I mean, I liked it during the Pillman Z-Man match where he was saying like one of them's going to cheat, everyone's got to cheat to win.
Yeah,
thought
that was
really cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sam, did you have a MVP?
Yeah, it was Raven. It's got to be Dustin Rhodes. He was in the fucking main event.
Oh, yeah.
Come on.
Yeah, I'll agree with that. I wrote down Dustin Rhodes. One, because I was surprised to see him and it was nice to see him. But also, when he came in, that clothesline he hit was amazing.
Right? Yeah.
Like so stiff.
Oh,
and
I
just
really
his general
enjoy his
ability.
wrestling style.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I love seeing it. It's so iconic, and he's kept the same moves for the last 30 years, and I enjoy it.
Yeah, I sort of do give you a bit of grief about Gold Dust being rubbish, but I haven't really seen a huge amount of him. The last few years I've been watching properly, he hasn't really done anything. So,
well, there you go.
It was nice to see.
I'm going to have to find something with Gold Dust in his prime, aren't I?
Yeah,
you might have to.
luck
the
with
next
that.
rewind. Brett?
It's all prime.
So, I would sort of concur with John for Iizuka, but also I'm going to give a shout out to Stone Cold for, being in that match from the beginning, being bloodied up from the beginning, and still giving it his all towards the end.
We are still convinced that he bloodied himself up, right? Like,
Yeah.
yeah.
I don't think it was accidental. He even got I don't know if someone went to do a spine buster on him or something, and he smacked his head on the frame at the top as well. And you could see he wasn't expecting it because it was really low, and he was just like,
yeah.
That was a really low cage.
Really low cage.
Yeah.
All of the guys who, had blood pouring from their heads. Okay, so they all bladed themselves or whatever when we weren't looking, but they did still get their faces properly rubbed up against those fences.
Yeah.
Like when you see it in this day and age, when there's a Hell in a Cell match or something, they never really go for it, do they? Maybe they'll just rub left and right once, but they were really scraping the faces. So, okay, they've got the little nick there that they've done themselves, but that would have been opened up from those.
Oh God, yeah.
I mean,
sure.
yeah.
It must have really hurt.
If you've read the Sid Vicious Arn Anderson scissor fight story, then that's nothing.
What?
No, tell us.
Oh, you haven't read that? I read that
No.
the other week. They apparently been drinking. I think Arn Anderson for Sid Vicious had insulted him in the bar. They're in a hotel, and there was a bunch of them, and then they ended up basically getting into a fight, and someone grabbed some scissors and they'd just slashed each other up, and I think Sid Vicious
What the fuck?
practically almost killed Arn Anderson.
I could see Sid Vicious doing that.
Yeah, you have to go read it. It's
I've got to be honest. With that hair, you are a brave man getting into a scissors fight.
sounds
Arn
absolutely
Anderson's got
bonkers.
nothing to lose there.
And then they're just like mates afterwards as well. Wrestlers are, especially old school ones, just from another planet.
Yeah, they really are. And that's why I love going back to these old pay-per-views, because I love all these old characters.
Yeah.
They're amazing.
It was nice going further back, because obviously we've done the two in the early 2000s, but to go all the way back to 92, with everything looking so 80s still, which is obviously how decades work. Get the last decade bleeding into the next one, but I would have thought this was 1985 or something.
Yeah,
from looking at it. So the next question, the next category is what did we learn? If there's anything at all we can take from WrestleWar 92 that perhaps modern day wrestling could
probably not
take.
To pick another WCW pay-per-view from the early 90s.
Yeah, we've
Don't
learned.
trust John.
Don't trust John.
Don't
pick.
trust John.
I was going to do Starrcade 83. That would have been a real culture shock.
I would have taken that. Did we learn anything, Sam?
Yeah, actually, yeah. So I was like, I really enjoyed the fact that they kind of alluded to another promotion in this. It wasn't just like WCW, we're the only thing here. Like the whole having a match for the IWGP number one contendership was a really cool thing that kind of acknowledges that there's other wrestling out there.
That was refreshing.
Something that WWE need to actually think about doing, because they are so closed off. It's just sad.
Yeah, it's nice, isn't it? You get to see the bigger world.
Exactly.
I actually also really liked the setup of the announced team, but also then going back to Tony Schiavone and Eric Bischoff.
Yeah, that's what I've got.
That sort of dynamic was quite cool. Was sort of almost like the team in the studio and then the team pitch side.
Yeah,
I love Eric Bischoff saying that we're now in the politically correct 90s.
Yeah, that was hilarious.
Oh dear.
There was Precious standing right there beside Jimmy Jam Garvin. She's been at his side before. It's been many years since we've seen her standing by her man, but it's a big night for him.
Certainly is, and in the politically correct era of the 90s, behind every successful man, there's an equally successful woman.
I also thought it was pretty cool. It wouldn't work now, so this isn't something that they could take now, but how that everything that was being said was live in the venue as well, so the crowd could hear what they were saying. Not the commentary during the matches, obviously, but when they cut back to those guys in their dicky bows, everybody could hear what they were saying. I thought that was pretty cool, because so much of these days and these massive events, the fans are just waiting around whilst the people back at home are getting shown packages and listening to commentary or whatever. So must have made it more of a rounded event for the crowd.
Yeah.
Brett, anything that you took from this?
No.
Cool, that'll do. I don't elaborate on that. We'll go straight on to the rating. This is a really tough one, isn't it? I did hear that apparently there was a condensed version of this show which actually cut out all of the boring mid-card stuff.
Which actually cut out the entire first half of the show.
But no, I think that was maybe originally available on VHS or whatever. And that would have made it a lot better.
Yeah, how does it compare to Extreme Rules? Better or worse? Does it make you appreciate modern wrestling more?
Yeah, that's tough actually, because I originally gave this a 7, but that was when I was off the high of the last 3 matches. But really, as a whole event, I think I'm going to give it a...
Because what did you give SummerSlam? You didn't give SummerSlam 7, did you?
I think I gave it 6.5.
And SummerSlam was a better pay-per-view than this.
Yeah.
Well, it's hard to compare. I mean, it was, but that's because I'm invested in all the characters and the storylines. You know, sometimes it's hard when you go back and you don't really know anything that's been happening before. You're literally just basing it on the matches. So I'm going to give it a 6.
I also give it a 6.
Okay. We could make this really easy to work out the average, guys. Sam, Brett.
Yeah.
Sam's not going 6.
6.
Wow,
Yeah,
good. Your highest ever score.
In anything.
Yeah. I want WWE to try better. This is the bar that's been set.
Okay.
Oh,
Brett?
I'm gonna be the harsh one then. I'm gonna give it 5, and that is all for Steiner Brothers match and the Pillman match. They get all the points. The rest of the card dropped it.
That's a 5.75.
5.75. Okay. Average.
Okay, Jim and Jesse, and thanks for coming to us, but I don't know what we can add to that, do you? Oh, Tony, I'll tell you, I've never seen anything so intense in my life. War Games lived up to everybody's expectations, without a doubt.
Okay, so that is WCW WrestleWar 1992 reviewed. We will probably have another rewind episode in a few weeks' time, and it is Brett's turn to pick next. Brett, have you got any ideas? Are you going to keep it to yourself, or?
I've got a couple of ideas, but I'll...
Are you going WWE, ECW, or WCW, do you reckon?
Or New Japan.
Oh.
Yeah, because this is the thing. I'd originally said, you know, we're delving back into the WWE network, but we could do anything.
We could do anything. Well, I don't...
We can do anything if we put our minds to it.
I think the only rule is that it should be relatively easy for the listeners to seek it out and watch it as well.
Yeah. So
that makes
on
sense.
one of the main streaming things.
Yeah,
definitely. I think it's probably more likely going to be WWE or New Japan than the others.
Yes, safe bet. Nice one. That is it then. That is that review done.
Oh! Right on the apron. The spine run right down the apron. The apron doesn't give a damn. Your body does.
Next podcast, next week, we are going to be talking about a brand new pay-per-view. We're going to talk about All In, which should be pretty cool. Obviously, this is the upcoming pay-per-view put together by Cody Rhodes and the Young Bucks, which is happening in Chicago on September 1st. The card is looking pretty tasty.
We're going to be doing 2 podcasts in a row with a Rhodes in a main event.
Yes, you're absolutely right.
Great.
So yeah, obviously if you guys watch that at home, then please do feel free to get in touch and let us know what you thought. In order to do that, you can... How do people get in touch, Brett?
They can email us, and they just need to plug in hardestpartofthering@gmail.com into their send to thing. I really wasn't prepared for this.
This is good. This is snappy. Do you want to start again?
No, we'll leave it crap. And we are at Hardest Part Pod on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. And we have a shop, hardestpartofthering.bigcartel.com.
Brilliant. Thank you, Brett, for that. Thank you, Sam, for being on the podcast. And thanks for nothing, John.
Okay, thanks, man. Cheers.
All right, cool. Thanks.
Until next time, thanks for listening. Please download. You have downloaded. Ignore that. Please rate and subscribe and all the other stuff that I haven't asked for a while. And we'll speak to you next week. It's goodbye from me, Adam. Goodbye from Sam.
See ya.
Goodbye from John.
Goodbye.
And goodbye from Brett.
Bye.
That was the hardest part of the ring.
That is the hardest part.